All right, now on the Waggle, someone you no longer address with the initials SJ. It's HOF. Give it up for the Hall of Famer, SJ Green. Come on now. Come on now.
What's up, my man?
What's what's going on, guys? How are you, man? Thanks for having me on,
We're
man.
doing
Good to
good,
see you
man.
guys.
It is our pleasure, and we're actually honored to have you on here, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, does it feel different? Are the dreads tighter? Are the chains brighter? Like, does it feel different right now?
Nah, man, it still feels surreal. It hasn't hit me yet. I'm getting a lot of love. It's overwhelming. It's humbling and a blessing to be a part of. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in at once, but I wouldn't want it any other way. It feels amazing to be a part of elite company, and for all the work and dedication that went into trying to be the best that I could. It's all come full circle for me to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. So it feels amazing.
Talk to us about that call, man. Everybody got a chance to see it. Nick Lewis, the funny, the hilarious, actually, but the character
Come
that
on,
he
man.
is, for him to have made that call for you, man. What did it mean to you, and where were you? How did you react to it? Like, talk to us. Walk us through that moment.
Well, it's crazy because I was actually headed to pick my daughter up from school. We were headed to soccer practice, and I was actually stopped at a light. I know exactly where I was.
Yep.
Um, I was at the stoplight. My phone rang, and I'm like, "What's going on, Nick?" And it was awkward because we talk sometimes, but it was like where he was going. It was kind of like, bro, like what are you like? What's going? Like, where's this coming from? Why you talking like this? And then he hit me. I started to hear him kind of get a little choked up, and my mind started to go. I mean, what is he gonna say? And he dropped the bomb, and it was just all I could do was laugh for a second, and then after laughter, a few tears rolled down my face, and it was just a really good feeling because when I left in 2019, I didn't really leave how I wanted to. And I wasn't sure how that was going to, look on me, being inducted into the Hall of Fame one day. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We all want to leave our mark on this game and be mentioned with the greats and be one of the greats. And so I didn't know how I was going to go, leaving how I left. So to still be welcomed into this league, into the Hall of Fame, it was a really great feeling.
Enoch's favorite question is talk to me about the journey. So I'm gonna say, talk to me about the journey because you were someone who you had to get it out the mud. You had to fight to make a team, to move up a depth chart, to prove you could be a number one guy, to reprove that you could be a number one guy at a high level. Was there a point in your career where it's like, oh no, I could really do this and not just right now. I could be one of the greats of all time.
I don't know if there was a point where I truly recognized that I could be one of the best or one of the greatest of all time. It was more so the process in which I approached in every day. It was just come to work every day, control what I could control. Everything that was in my control, I tried to do, what I could do to put myself at an advantage, to put myself in a situation to be successful. Um, trying to do the right things, putting the extra work in, watching the film, or being a good teammate. Uh, all the little things that went into being, what made me who I was just part of that process, and that process alone is what got me through on a day-to-day basis.
I remember getting to play with you, and I started to recognize and see your approach to the game and how much of a veteran you were, and the leadership that you brought, the calm leadership that you brought to the locker room, and the encouragement, the words of wisdom that you would give to the guys around you and whatnot. Can let us know though, because we all saw your success. We all saw the glitz and the glamour and the big catches and all of that, which we'll get to. But I want to know. Um, was there a point where you felt like, no, you know what, I don't even know if this is gonna work out. I don't even know if this is what I want to really do.
No, that's a great question. One of those things was probably the most original thing for me to say was me being on a practice squad for 2.5 years. When I came to Canada in 2007, I had a family back home. I had just had my son. I just got engaged, and I was trying to build a family, but at the same time, I was trying to build a career. And I wanted to be a pro ball player. Football was my passion. I mean, I had been doing it since I was 8 years old. So the idea of not making a team or not being on a team was was stressful to me because it's something that I really wanted. Um, and there were times that I did question myself because I was on the practice squad for 2 years, and I'm wondering, I'm going in the Jim Pop's office almost on a weekly basis, which is how we got so close because we were talking almost every week because I'm trying to figure out why am I not playing? Like I'm looking at the guys on the field, and no disrespect to them, I just felt like I deserved to be on the field with the skill set that I possessed. Um, Little did I know, we can get into that later, but I needed that time to develop, being on a practice squad and, watching the vets and seeing what to do and what not to do. But to get back to what I was saying, there were a lot of times where I questioned myself. I questioned, like, is this situation, you know, economically feasible for me? Like, I'm trying to provide, like I said, I have a wife and a son back home and trying to pay a rent in Toronto, I'm in Montreal, and mortgage back home. It was overwhelming. There were a lot of times where I questioned, I don't know how much longer I could do this. Um, but the truth of the matter is, I had a great support system. My wife Danielle, she held it down at home, and she made things easy for me. She took care of my son, and all I had to do was send my money home. The rest was up to me to make happen, and she gave me the space to do so, and I'm forever grateful for her for that as well. So there were definitely times where I doubted. And there were times where I felt like my coaches doubted me too. I've told this story before. I walked into Mark Trestman's office. I want to say this was 2009, and this is the third year I'm on practice squad now, right? Going into about third year, and I'm like, coach, like this is the third year. Like, what's going on? Like, why am I not playing? And Mark Trestman told me, he said, hey, honestly, I just don't feel like you're better than our top five guys. And that day, I think changed my life. I'm like, you don't think I'm better than what? And not that I didn't already have this approach in practice, but I truly went to practice every day with the mindset that, practice was my game day, you know, and that's what also turned me into later in my career. It allowed me to understand why practice was so important because I always took it serious, and that was my game. So when I prepared during the work week, game day was easy because I was grounding all week, you know. And but long story short, there were times where I doubted, and the times where I felt coaches doubted. But um, the true testament was just me believing in myself and coming to work every day with a blue collar mindset and just wanting to dominate. And that's what I tried to focus on doing, was being dominant.
Well, I love that you share that story with Trestman because you guys would obviously have great success together twice. And when he brings you to the Argonauts to help restart that project, he was bullish that you're the player and the leader that he needed. You're a better man than me because I would have been petty the whole time. I'd be like, oh, where's your top five now, homeboy? Where's your top five now? But what was your relationship like, with him, moving through it? This is the guy who's let's be honest, he's keeping money off your table. And then later he's the guy who he can't wait to praise the man and the player that you are.
Well, I'll be honest. My comment about Trestman is saying that he didn't think I was good enough. It wasn't an indictment on him or his character. It was just that's just how he felt at the time, And a lot of times, coaches have to say things to, you know, smooth it out just to keep it going because they have a job to do. Outside of dealing with 50, 46 personalities every week, 42 personalities that you got to address every week. They got game plans to do. They got stuff to do. So they're just trying to keep it light, and I get it, but uh, Trustman really helped alter and change my outlook on life too. Him along with Jim Pop, but when Trustman came in 2008, his approach to the game was just it was different. It was scientific. I didn't know how to explain it, but he changed my outlook on football, which it ultimately changed my outlook on life, and that's when I became infatuated with the process. And being under his tutelage in 2008 and 2009, it was hard mentally at times, but I learned so much, and like I say, it helped mold me into the player that I ultimately became. Um, So hats off to Mark Trestman because he's one of those people that influenced me in a way that um, changed my life for the better.
You talk about Mark Trestman. This is a guy who impacted really the league. He was definitely special, but you play with a lot of special players as well. I mean, I'm thinking John Bowman, Chip Cox, Jamel Richardson. How can I forget about Anthony Calvillo? And the list goes on and on. Kyrie Saber. Talk to me about those relationships that you guys kind of developed to create really the dynasty that was the Montreal Alouettes those days.
Another guy that was a dog on that team was Avon Coburn, and he was a big part of
Yes.
our success too. Um, but truly, what made our team so special was we were all we all held each other accountable. Um, there was no hierarchy. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was clearly a hierarchy in regards to who gets paid what, and the one receiver, the two receiver. There was a hierarchy in that regard. But in our locker room, there was nobody bigger than anybody. Um, everybody was held accountable. Anybody could get told about themselves, and it didn't have to be in a disrespectful way. It was just in a way that was you didn't want to be the guy that went against the grain. You wanted to be a part of the solution. You wanted to be a part of what we were building because what Trestman preached to us was being a part of bigger, being a part of something bigger than yourself, you know? And that's what truly made us special. Those teams that we had and the relationships that I built and we built on those teams, they still exist to this day. Um, I talk to a lot of those guys still, and if we may not talk every day, but we talk enough for it to be when we do talk, it's like we were talking yesterday, and the bonds and the grind and the wins, the losses, the ups, the downs, they all shaped and molded us to be the people that we are today. And those life lessons that this game taught us, uh, they continue to carry us in our everyday life.
People forget that your time in Montreal, in a way ended on the turf, you know, clutching your knee. You talked about those thoughts that you had when you were on the practice roster. Once you've made it, you had a taste of the success. You're there, and then, as you know in the sport, you're one play away from that being stolen from you. What were the thoughts, emotions on that turf, on that cart, leaving that stadium? Take us to that place, because I'm sure at that moment you're not thinking of Hall of Fame.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. At that moment, I was thinking, is my career over? Am I ever going to play football again? Uh, so many emotions, so many thoughts. It was heartbreaking. I remember leaving Montreal. My wife was driving to the airport, and I'm just in the back seat, literally crying like a baby, just like trying not to let her see me crying. But I'm like, I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt because I truly feel like this might be my last like trip, my last rodeo in Montreal. You know how it goes. You get hurt in the CFL, and going into the off season, or you can't finish the season. The likelihood of you maintaining that contract that you have is slim to none. That's just how the business went at that time, and it was nerve wracking. But if I'm being honest with myself, um, it sucks that I had to tear my knee up the way that I did, but I felt like it was something that I needed. I needed a reset. Montreal, at a point, I got to a point in Montreal where I don't want to say I was getting complacent, but it was just something that was happening there that I don't know what it was. There was a transition and the routine started to get boring at a point. Well, I don't want to use the wrong words and say boring, but it was just almost like it didn't feel right. It was drudgery. I was almost getting to that point, like it's my 10th year. Is it time? I was starting to have that thought to myself. But when I tore my knee in the second game of the season, it instantly put me back in grind mode. It instantly made me hungry. It instantly made me want to get out and prove to everybody that I could still be who I know I was. And so, as sad as it was to miss the 2016 season and not be a part of it, um, it was something that I personally needed to regenerate my mind and regenerate my career because it forced me to go into the lab. It forced me to build my body up from pretty much ground zero again, and which allowed me to be able to perform, for another 3 years at an optimum level.
So you don't have a dad bod yet. You look like you can still play, but now you're trying to be a Hall of Fame dad. Like that is the most important thing. And your kids are into sports and athletics, and also the football plays I see on your IG. I was like, okay, I see some SJ there, but I also see like even more. So I don't know if Mom's is hitting them off with some good genes as well. But now that you're in their life and seeing them reach their own sporting dreams, one, how nervous is it for you not to be on the field making the plays, but to watch the plays be made? But what are some of those lessons that you got from those other leaders, from being on those teams, from Trestman, that you're trying to instill in them? Do you catch yourself saying some of the same things that people told you?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think Enoch would probably say the same thing with some of the messages he's received from his coaches and OGs that have resonated with him, that he probably passes on to his kids to help them kind of see the world in a perspective that we didn't see it at that age. Um, but with that being said, yeah, my kids are getting big, they're growing, and to be a part of their lives on an everyday basis is probably the most rewarding part of it all. Seeing my son trying to attain a college scholarship to play ball at the next level. My daughter she wants to play in the World Cup. She does soccer, and she's doing her thing with soccer. And so to see them chase their dreams is it's encouraging for me to continue to chase mine still. And in regard to the messages I give them, absolutely, I think like control what you can control. Control the controllables. Um, One message my trainer used to tell me all the time is, it's lonely at the top. You know, uh, Everybody's not going to be willing to do what it takes to be at the top, and everybody's not going to be willing to do what it takes to stay there when they get there. And so you got to understand that it's lonely. Sometimes you're going to have to say no. Sometimes you're going to have to, not go hang out with the in crowd. Sometimes you're going to have to go to the gym and be the only person in there. It's lonely at the top. It truly is. And so if it was easy, everybody would do it. These are just mantras that my trainer used to tell me, and messages that I pass to my kids as well.
Before we get out of here, I want, because you talked about the respect of the peers, someone who understands the craft of being a receiver, the art of being a receiver. I want your scouting report of two of the other receivers you're going in with, Weston Dressler and Chad Owens. When you look at their game, what are the things that they had in their bag that really stick out to you?
I mean, if we're being honest, they had a lot of similarities, but they were so different and unique in their own way. Like Chad Owens was, I mean, I don't even want to say it without, because Weston was super dynamic and explosive too, man. I mean, they're both small guys with big statures on the field. I mean, you could put the ball in their hands in any type of way, and they could make a play. They could make the big play. They could go up and jump over guys and make plays. They could shake guys and get around them with their speed. They could run exceptional routes and make it look like it was drawn on the diagram and on the playbook. And I mean, they were just exceptional playmakers. And I was talking to another podcast earlier this week, and just the play that they made throughout the week and the season and the I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but their body of work that they put together over the course of a season was inspiring to want to continue to try to be great as well, because if you don't continue to make plays, they will. And you want to be recognized too. So it was just super competitive and super exciting to be a super exciting time to be a part of competing against those guys.
As we leave, number one, congrats, because you earned it.
Thank you.
You put it on the field, you put it on the tape, you earned it. But also thank you, because when we get the pleasure to talk to them, there are so many receivers coming through now, and you can see aspects of their game and what you gave to the game. So thank you for leaving our sport better than you found it.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I'm blessed and humbled to be a part of this. The league that we played in, Enoch, and you covered DB is it's awesome, man. Thank you guys again.